It was just after 9 p.m. at Rosie's Diner, the kind of place where the smell of coffee and frying bacon mixed with the low hum of old country music from a dusty jukebox. The neon sign flickered outside, half lit, and the night rain smeared its reflection across the puddled parking lot. Inside, only a few regulars remained. Truckers hunched over coffee mugs, couples whispered in booths, and a young waitress named Emily Carter moved from table to table, her ponytail swaying as she carried plates with practiced grace. Emily had worked here for 3 years. It wasn't glamorous, but she loved it, the rhythm of the place, the warmth of familiar faces. She worked double shifts most weeks to support her mom and little brother after her father passed. Life wasn't easy, but she smiled through it. That smile, everyone said, could light up the dim diner. That night, though, there was a tension in the air. At the far corner booth, a group of men laughed too loud, their voices harsh against the cozy quiet. They wore heavy jackets, work boots, and smirks that made everyone else uncomfortable. They'd been drinking elsewhere before they stumbled in, and the diner's "no alcohol" sign didn't seem to bother them. Emily approached cautiously with her notepad. "Evening, fellas. What can I get you tonight?" she asked softly, keeping that polite smile. The biggest of them, a tall, red-faced man with a scar down his cheek, looked her up and down, his grin curling cruelly. "Well, sweetheart, maybe start with a smile that's not fake," he slurred. His buddies chuckled. Emily's smile faltered slightly. "Coffee and pie, or do you need a few more minutes?" He leaned closer. "You can bring me whatever you want, doll. As long as you bring it with that pretty little face." One of his friends snickered. "Don't waste your charm, Rick. She's probably taken." Rick grinned wider. "Nah, girls like her, they're always looking for someone better." Emily tried to step back, clutching her notepad tighter. "I'll just, get your order started." She turned to leave, but Rick reached out and grabbed her wrist. The diner went silent. "Hey, I'm talking to you," he snapped, his grip tightening. "What? Too good to answer me now." Emily's breath hitched. "Please let go." Rick's smirk faded into irritation. "Don't tell me what to do." That's when the bell above the door jingled, and Jack Reynolds walked in. He looked like he'd had a long day. Jeans, a faded leather jacket, his dark hair tousled from the rain. He moved with a calm, steady presence that filled the room without trying to. On his left wrist was a black band with a single dog tag hanging loose, a quiet symbol of a past few noticed but none questioned. He slid into a booth by the counter, shaking rain from his shoulders, when he noticed what was happening. His eyes, sharp, alert, trained by years of seeing trouble before it exploded, narrowed. Emily was trying to pull away. The man's hand was still locked around her wrist. Jack rose slowly from his seat. "Hey," he said evenly, his voice deep but calm. "Let her go." Rick turned, his expression twisting. "Who the hell are you?" Jack didn't answer. He just stared, steady and unflinching. There was no aggression in his posture, just quiet authority. Rick laughed, loud and ugly. "Oh, what, you're a knight in shining armor. Sit down before you get hurt, old man." Jack took one step forward. "You've had too much to drink. Let her go." Something about the way he said it, measured, certain, like a command rather than a plea, made the other men go quiet. Even Rick's hand hesitated. Emily managed to twist free and step back. She rubbed her wrist, tears of frustration and fear glimmering in her eyes. Rick stood now, towering and puffing his chest. "You got a death wish or something?" Jack tilted his head slightly. "No, but it looks like you might." The insult hit home. Rick snarled, swinging his arm violently. But Jack moved like lightning. He sidestepped, grabbed Rick's wrist, twisted it down and forward in one fluid motion. Rick crashed face first into the counter, his arm pinned painfully behind his back. The entire diner gasped. Jack spoke quietly, close to his ear. "You ever touch a woman like that again, and you'll be eating through a straw." "Understood." Rick groaned in pain, trying to struggle, but Jack's grip didn't budge. The veteran's movements were precise, efficient, no wasted energy, no flash. "Just control. Say it," Jack ordered. Rick wheezed, all right, I get it." Jack released him, stepping back calmly. Rick stumbled to his feet, glaring with humiliation. His friends shifted uncomfortably, none of them daring to move. Jack's tone stayed cool. You boys finish your coffee and leave. Nobody here wants trouble. Rick's pride flared. He clenched his fists, his face red with anger. You think you're some kind of hero? Jack's eyes didn't waver. No, just a father who doesn't like bullies. For a second, the two men stared at each other, tension thick enough to choke on. Then Rick spat on the floor, muttered a curse, and stormed out, his friends trailing after him like shadows. The door slammed behind them, and silence filled the diner. Emily stood frozen, still trembling slightly. Jack turned to her, his expression softening. You okay? She nodded slowly, voice shaky. Yeah, I think so. Thank you. He gave a small nod and sat back down, as if nothing had happened. The other customers murmured quietly, a few even clapping softly before returning to their meals. Emily hesitated, then walked over to his booth with a fresh cup of coffee. It's on the house, she said. Jack smiled faintly. You don't have to do that. I want to, she said firmly. I've had creeps before, but nobody ever stood up like that. He looked at her hand, still red where Rick had grabbed her, and frowned slightly. You should put some ice on that. She smiled. I'll be fine. You really know how to handle yourself. Jack chuckled quietly. Old habits. Marine Corps. Her eyes widened. You're a veteran. He nodded. Single dad now. My boy's 10. He's probably home right now building something out of Legos he'll never take apart. There was warmth in his tone, pride mixed with a quiet ache. Emily smiled. He's lucky to have you. Jack shook his head. Other way around. For a while, they just talked. Nothing fancy, just two people sharing quiet conversation over coffee in a nearly empty diner. Emily told him about her brother, about how she'd been saving to get him into a better school. Jack shared stories about his son, about the struggle of balancing life after service. Then headlights flashed outside. The same truck that had left earlier screeched to a stop. Jack's instincts kicked in instantly. He turned toward the door. Rick burst back in, this time holding a tire iron, his face twisted with rage. You think you can humiliate me in front of everyone? Emily froze behind the counter. The customers ducked behind booths. Jack stood slowly, his voice calm but deadly serious. Don't do this, Rick. Rick swung the iron wildly. Jack sidestepped again, his movements sharp and fluid. The metal whooshed past his shoulder and slammed into a chair, splintering wood. Jack grabbed Rick's arm, twisted it again, but this time the man dropped the iron, and Jack kicked it away. In one seamless motion, he swept Rick's legs, sending him crashing to the floor. Rick groaned, clutching his ribs. Jack crouched beside him. You're done. Go home. Sleep it off before you ruin your life. More than you already have. Rick spat out a curse, but the fight was gone. He limped toward the door, defeated. The rain swallowed him up once more. When the police arrived minutes later, called by one of the truckers, Jack stayed calm, explained what happened, and refused any credit. Just did what anyone should have done, he said simply. After they took statements and left, Emily came up to him again. You didn't have to risk yourself like that. Jack smiled faintly. Yeah, I did. My son's growing up watching me. I've got to show him what right looks like. Tears shimmered in her eyes. The world needs more people like you. He shrugged. The world just needs people to stop looking away. The rain finally stopped outside. The diner was quiet again, but something had changed, like the air had cleared not just of tension, but of fear. Emily refilled his cup one last time before closing. You sure you don't want a slice of pie? It's the least I can do. Jack laughed softly. Only if it's apple. She grinned. Good choice. As she brought the pie, she noticed his hand tremble slightly when he picked up the fork. She caught it, but said nothing. War leaves marks no one can see. Instead, she smiled warmly. Thank you, Jack. He looked up. For what? For reminding me there are still good people left. Jack didn't answer right away. He just took a bite of the pie, smiled, and said quietly, there are more than you think. They just don't make much noise. When he left, the bell above the door jingled again. Emily watched through the window as he walked toward his old pickup, his shoulders straight, his stride calm. The puddles reflected his figure beneath the neon glow, the image of a man who'd seen the worst of the world but still chose to do what's right. Later that night, As Emily closed up, she found a folded $20 bill under the coffee cup. On the napkin beneath it, a few words were scribbled in neat handwriting. For your brother's school fund. Keep smiling. J.R. She pressed it to her chest, tears welling again, not from fear this time, but from gratitude. Outside, thunder rolled far in the distance, but the storm had passed. And inside Rosie's diner, for the first time that night, everything felt safe again. Because one man had refused to stay silent. Because a single dad veteran reminded everyone what courage really looks like. And somewhere across town, his little boy was fast asleep, dreaming of superheroes, never knowing his dad had just been one.